Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with yours truly, Tom Alvarez. My guests on today's episode are well-known vocalist, songwriter, and recording artist Jennie DeVoe and guitarist extraordinaire Paul Holdman. Join me now as I go on the aisle for my conversation with Jennie and Paul.
'Cause here's what's on my mind. Did you really mean the things you say? 'Cause I'm standing here believing in you. And he said, yeah, sometimes you gotta run away, girl.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites, like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies, like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Welcome to my guests today, Jennie DeVoe and Paul Holdman. It's so great to have you guys.
Thank you, Tom.
I've been trying to get you two in here for a while now, but you've always got something going on, so we'll have plenty to talk about. Let's start with you, Jennie. You're a longtime presence in Central Indiana and beyond. I couldn't believe it when we first met. And of course, Paul and you have been colleagues for a really long time, so don't want to forget you, Paul. And you guys have had a really long time relationship. But Jennie, I only got to experience you this past year, and I saw you at Feinstein's at Hotel Carmichael. And I don't know why it is that, of course, I knew of you. Your brand is. You've got a great brand and you're well known and well respected. So
I get that a lot. I'll have people say, I've heard about you forever, but this is the first time I've seen you. So I feel like it's just kind of a thing. And it's like us with other artists. I hear somebody on the radio and they come through town, never go see them, but you hear them for 25 years or whatever. So it's okay. And
seeing you perform, it seemed like I had seen you before because, you're kind of omnipresent because I hear your music all the time, especially because of our friend and my colleague, Patty Spittler.
Yeah.
And, the theme.
Yeah, you hear my song on her morning animal thing. That was my gift to her probably 10 years ago.
Exactly. So how long have you been in the business?
I did my first record in 99. I was working at a music studio in Broad Ripple, doing commercials. Turned into singing all the Meyer commercials, doing all the voiceover for about 5 years. And I was working for Bill Mallers and Chris Lieber, and they just ran a commercial studio.
What was the name of the studio?
It was Ripple Effects, and it's now defunct. But I just forced my way in there. I remember after college, I just wanted to be around music. That was it. I just kept telling him, here's a tape. I want you to hear me sing. And I'm talking a tape, like a cassette. So that ages me, but that's how it happened. Yeah.
And Paul, tell me how you and Jennie became acquainted, or how you met.
Well, it was pretty much, we were both working with Larry Crane, John Mellencamp's former guitar player. And she was playing percussion and singing background vocals, and I was playing guitar with him for about a year or so.
Just a year.
Yeah.
A year was enough.
Just for some traveling.
We had fun, but it was
we had a lot of fun. And we hit it off right away, and we had some free time, sometimes playing pool and goofing off between shows, and have early sound checks and things like that. And I started asking her, hey, are you interested in writing songs, your own songs, and that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how has been that writing relationship?
Lucky, blessed, lucky, just kind of a God thing. I think that we kind of feel, probably, if you agree with me, Larry's band, it was a kind of a wild situation. Like when Paul says we played pool sometimes after the shows, we played pool with Glenn Frey once from the Eagles. And I remember we were imbibing and just had some really great fun, wild times. But yeah, it just felt like we were meant to write together. We didn't really, either of us, have a bunch of experience doing it. So that was the blessed part. We just kind of began, and it was a symbiotic kind of back and forth. I had lyrics. I'm always and forever writing lyrics. And I would have little ideas about songs, and then I'd just sing them to him. And he would just go like this. And I mean, I feel lucky that I get to collaborate with Paul, and that I've gotten to collaborate with Paul.
Well, okay, the lyrics, you collaborate on those, or is it primarily you?
I'm primarily that, although we have one really great song that is called Everything to Me that Paul began lyrically. And then he let me, take on that. And it is kind of usually like that. I might come up with something without my guitar at all. I can sing it to Paul, and he's got so many things in his arsenal, in his brain, different, Wes Montgomery or what have you. And he knows I like kind of jazzy, bluesy things, but intricate melody. I like to get into intricate chord changes and not too simple. And we've not failed a lot. I feel like we have a whole bunch more to do, and I'm pretty proud of what we've done.
And you certainly have chemistry in that regard, but you also have chemistry on stage.
Yeah.
I got to see you both perform, and we'll talk about River James later.
Yes.
Paul was River's, for our listeners, River tragically died at the age of 33 of an inoperable brain tumor, and he was just getting his career off the ground. You both knew him, but Paul was his best friend, and we'll talk about that at length. That's how the three of us are connected in a way. You'll hand Paul lyrics for a song, and he will come up with the melodies and the music. Or do you also provide input for the? You said you sing the melodies sometimes.
Yeah, I might start someplace. Paul might say, "Hey, try it up here in this. Go up half step. Go up a whole step. It'd be nice if we did it in this key." And normally I have like pages of lyrics in front of me, so I'm kind of. The music tends to make you also decide on lyrics. So we'll kind of discuss the vibe of the song, if it's going to be upbeat rocker or if it's going to be pensive, really pensive, like a Patty Griffin song. It's funny to really put it into words is difficult. I feel like putting songwriting into words is difficult, and we will sit down sometimes without discussing it. And I think those are very, just kind of blessed moments where, is it really us? Is something else happening? I think, yeah.
Did you write poetry before you started songwriting?
No.
No?
No.
How about you, Paul?
I've always kind of dabbled in poetry. I understand it quite. I've just always written things down. I've never been really good at coming up with lyrics and poems and finishing them. But in recent years, I've been able to write some poems and just some thoughts down and be more cohesive in those things. But I think my gift is collaborating with other people, and especially with Jennie. I've really learned a lot.
And lyrically, I feel like Paul needs a reason to write his lyrics or his words. And I'm more like, I could be driving down the street and things are passing me visually.
That was my next question. What inspires both of you?
Probably totally different things, but he always needs a reason, I feel like.
Yeah, you're right. I do.
What are some of the examples of what inspires you, Jennie? Your everyday experiences? How are you feeling when you get up one day or whatever?
It could just be, it could be anything from something on the news to something in my very, very long ago childhood, something I didn't work out. And I feel like it's kind of a prolific thing for me, which can be a problem. I have cases of mini discs and tapes and lyrics. So I wish I had I'm trying to do a more John Lennon approach where it's like, finish it, So I have a bunch of finished things that I'm going to, they're not really finished, but they're finished as far as I can get them. But it could be anything. It could be world happenings that I don't want to be so direct with, that I want to be more metaphoric with, so people can make them what they want them to be to them. So I have stopped explaining songs to people because I think it's important that people are able to make them mean to them what they want. So I do like dealing in metaphors.
And Paul?
The way the original question is...
Yes,
the way...
What day-to-day things happen to you that inspire you?
I'm very inspired by... So when it comes lyrically, like Jennie said, I have a particular thought or a reasoning, an inspiration. But when it comes, mostly I write music, or I want to say cinematically, for lack of a better word. Maybe that's the right word. I think in terms of sound and matching sound to what I see in my head and vice versa. So I will come up with sometimes I like the sound of something. I could be listening to Cuban music. I could be listening to country, some yacht rock or something or whatever, And I like the sound of something, a particular chord progression or just the tone of a recording. And that will often inspire me. And then I'll get kind of a visual of it in my head. And I might write down a lyric or two, a thought, and then I'll take it to, another person that I can collaborate with that I think would be appropriate for that. But most of the time it's music and sounds and being inspired by other people that will just give me a thought or an idea. It's like me and you collaborated on a song. You just sang me the idea and I immediately heard in my head, like, I guess, and I was kind of visualizing what it needed to be like, And in my mind, it was, in my crazy mind, it was a Tex-Mex vibe, but with Les Paul and Mary Ford kind of sound, that Les Paul Echoplex guitar, slapback guitar sound playing Tex-Mex, That's weird, but I like to combine different things, like what would this guy do if he played in the Ventures, that a guy that normally wouldn't play in the Ventures.
Well, as I've gotten to know you, Paul, it's so much fun to we both, like most artists I know, we draw from our inspirations, musicians and songwriters that we grew up with or heard. And so we're all influenced, there really isn't anything that it's arguable, but I don't believe that everything's derivative, really, when you get down to it.
Agree.
There are some very original artists, I believe, but they're far and in between. Would you agree with that? But we were there. It's part of our self structure. I think all the music we've listened to throughout our lives. There's a piece of it, isn't there?
It's language.
Which is the beauty. Yeah, it is a language, and it. I think the very unique people who have, maybe they're from a little village in the Alps or something, and they come up with something because they have an instrument there. Those are unique very few and far between situations, but the rest of us are, yeah.
But even then, it's been passed on to them. They've
Somehow,
oral tradition,
right?
or they've
Yeah,
heard it.
singing is
And
definitely,
they do it their own way, you know?
yeah.
It's
You just get it, you hear it.
learn a
and
language. It's like a language you're learning.
It is.
It's like
You know, before we go any further, you graciously agreed to share some of your music with our listeners. So you're going to be doing a couple pieces during this number. What's this first one that we're going to hear?
True Love. This is one that I did. I've taken Paul with me to England a couple times, but he didn't go on this trip. So I did this one I'm pretty proud of. And so when Paul and I go out and play, it's always like the way he does his guitar and his interpretation around it makes me really happy.
And what's the song about?
You know, I feel like women especially are always told, like, you'll find the guy that you love. And I don't want to get too far into it because I feel like there's a little magical, mystical meaning for different people. But you always hear, oh, you'll know when it's the one. And I began with that, that the guy is the one. And it's sort of, it's a darker take on finding true love because it's about losing true love and never being able to match that again. So, yeah.
You know, I had the pleasure of hearing you do this in our studio when you were on Lifestyle Live, and I thought it was so strong. So let's go ahead and share it with the audience.
Okay.
They say there's a story no one will tell. It's the truth about heaven and hell. They say there's a man who will finally understand. When you find him, you'll know he's the one. There are whispers, it's true, clouds in your view, but you blindly keep crawling along. Then you drink from the cup, but it's never enough. Once you have found true love, they say there's a magic so very tragic, you'd give up your life for true love. And you need it so badly, so very sadly. True love is a ruin of you. See, there's a spell that you're under, and it leaves you to wonder why it cuts deep to your soul. And you drink from the cup, but it's never enough. Once you have found true love, his name, but it's never the same. You can try, but you will not find joy. You can try to deny why you still cry. You just miss those kisses from that bar. There are whispers, it's true, clouds in your view, but you blindly keep crawling along. Then you drink was never enough. Once you have found true love, once you've tasted true love, and it's all in the name of true love.
You know, that's such a powerful, powerful song. The melody, and you know, it's just got, there's a lot of passion.
Thank you.
I hear a lot of passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have fun recording that, Paul, or performing the song? Have you recorded it?
I wasn't. I don't know what was going on when you were doing that album.
You needed a break from England. Maybe you needed a break from me.
Remember.
We take little breaks, but we're like
I wish I would have been. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have been part of it because it would have been fun. But no, I did not play a part of that recording.
Oh, okay.
But I've played it with her live many times, and I just kind of do my own thing with it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, he knows there's like a certain melody that to tap into, and when we've done it at the Jazz Kitchen, I think we've done some just magical moments. Those videos are out there with Paul and I at the Jazz Kitchen too.
And what inspired that particular song for you both?
You know what? I really like Eastern kind of gypsy music, and I like waltz times. If people would let me, I'd do every song in 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. But it is definitely inspired by sort of a Russian gypsy.
Like a Russian waltz.
Yeah, it's like a Russian waltz, and I like that kind of stuff. I know when I took piano when I was really young, my piano teacher would have me bring stuff to her.
I felt a sense of a little tango in there too.
Oh, yeah, it could have it could be very sexy tango. Yeah, it is. It is.
Mm-hmm. You could I would love to see some choreograph that.
Well, some of our stuff has been choreographed, and I don't even remember who it was for, but people do get a hold of me sometimes and say, I danced to that in my dance whatever, and it's like, okay.
Well, you know, choreographers live for good music to add movement to.
And waltz time is like, there's so much space in a 3/4 time song to sing and to think and for people to dance to. I love it.
Let's talk about your individual careers. Jennie, tell me, you collaborate and perform with lots of people, and then, of course, you do solo. But let's talk about your current activities. What's going on?
Mostly writing. I think this is probably the first year that I've allowed myself to not be too driven by live performance so that I can concentrate on getting some other things out there. It's kind of like you do so many records and then you're out, you've got all this material, and it's like you kind of get lazy in a way. And I love performing live, but it's a whole different hat to just give yourself breathing time. You know, I think about really big famous people. They might take like a 3 or 4 year break. I think Sarah McLachlan wasn't out for like 8 years or 10 years. We can't really afford to do that because we've remained independent. So I think I just wanted to give myself a moment and not, fear of missing out on anything. I just need to have some more material. So I'm doing a lot of domestic things. I'm pulling up carpet and tack board, and I think like that, and then I write like that, and I try not to panic with it. So, I've done a lot. I think I've done like 12 records. So I need to give myself a little grace and just have healthy, new, wonderful stuff that doesn't feel forced.
And how about you, Paul? Well, Paul, you are prolific. When I met you, I had no idea that you were involved with so many bands and so many genres. I mean, you know, is there anything you can't play? So tell me about all these groups that you perform with.
Well, mainly, in addition to writing and occasionally performing with Jennie, I've been performing with the Woman Bleeds Rock Orchestra for 24 years, and also Tad Robinson for 24 years. And with Rebecca Meldrum, I think we started working together around 2014 or 15. and Gordon Bonham, who I've known since I was 21 or 22. He's a buddy, and he plays guitar, great singer, great guitarist and artist, and I've enjoyed working with him. Those are the main people that I focus on, have worked with over these last couple of decades plus, mainly.
And now you kind of broadened your horizon. I want you to tell our listeners about the two of us and our collaboration that's going on. And you can expand a bit more on our mutual friend, River, who I talked about earlier. Yeah,
River was somebody that when I first met him, we were just going to write together because he was a prolific writer. I mean, to use your word prolific, I mean, gosh, he was just writing a song every day, seems like, but at the time, he was going to be on The Voice, and just simply we got connected through our mutual friend Pat Long, who said you should meet Paul and have Paul give you any advice or just listen to you, and so I listened to him and thought he was fabulous, and thought maybe he needed to change the key to one of the songs he was going to sing on The Voice or whatever. So, but in that meeting, we started talking about songwriting, and I realized, oh my gosh, this guy's got some really great sounding songs, So we started writing. We wrote together off and on for 2 years before we decided to have a little band just to have fun, and then possibly present some of his original material to the public. And we were making, headway with that. Well, he passed passed away February of this year. And in the meantime, around that same time, you and I had started talking. You had met him through one of your friends who heard him singing in the butcher shop he was working at. And you called me one day, I remember, and we were talking about putting together a show for him. And so because of him passing away, you had the idea to create a documentary. And which I'm really looking forward to learning more about. And I've always had an interest in getting into film scoring to some degree, or at least learning about it. I've always loved doing studio work. My first love is performing live and playing guitar, backing up a really great singer like Jennie or Tad or Rebecca or Phil Purley or Gordon Bonham, some of these wonderful people I've backed up. But I also love writing and being creative. And so I've always, I've watched a lot of documentaries and always paid attention to the music in movies. And I've always just loved that medium. And so I'm very excited and interested in our collaboration.
Well, it became clear to me immediately that you were an artist, first of all, and that you were a natural for media work, for television in particular. And as far as documentaries, you've got the brain of an editor, and you just have all of these art forms are related. Documentary film and incorporates all of the performing arts, everything, singing. Movies have dancing in them and so on and so forth. But I'm really excited about the prospects of working with you. And now I can tell the story about how I came up with that medley. I wrote you a text one morning and said, I have the melody. I don't know what I said. I said, I dreamed it. It came to me in my dreams. And I tend to do that. I know some people think that's weird, but I work sometimes in my sleep. Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Do you write in your sleep, Jennie, by any chance? Yeah, I do. Yeah, things come to me in my subconscious. I think it's what it is, and I think you do the same thing too. So I was working one night in my dreams, and I said, well, there's a melody that I need to help get this off the ground. So I'm going to come up with a melody. And so it just came to me in my sleep, and I woke up and I hummed it into my phone. And that's what I said.
Keep your phone handy because it fades so quickly if you don't.
Oh, yeah. It's like people say they get ideas and they write, they keep a notepad by their bed. Well, I kept my iPhone. Who knew?
Right.
Who knew that your iPhone could be like, But in any case, it's going to be hopefully it will be a great testament to River's life. And how I came to know you, Jenny, in particular, is we held a fundraising concert at the Corner Bar, which is where River was basically introduced to the public, was he not?
Yeah, I'd done a couple of shows with him at the Polo Club. And they had these little events, and we did that, and we
have a polo club. Can I just interject that? We have a polo club.
I didn't know we did either until I did those gigs, but we enjoyed that, and basically me and Rebecca's band, was the backup band for him, so he just would get on stage and sing. Man, we just had a great time.
The Polo Club, that sounds pretty fancy.
I never
like
think
the
of
White
Polo.
River
When I
Yacht
think of
Club.
Paul, I just don't think of
They wheeled a big old trailer out in the like a flatbed, out in the middle of the field, and set up we had our PA guy come out, set up a big PA, and it was a blast, and everybody was dressed up like they're at the Kentucky Derby and drinking mojitos and eating charcuterie and stuff like that. And so that was cool. I know River was doing a lot, a good handful of solo and duo shows with Pat Long, for instance. But, he just wanted a band. First he wanted me to help him put together a band because I was so busy. And I said, sure, yeah, we'll work on it. And then finally I said, man, let me just book a couple of gigs at the Corner Bar because I have a good relationship with Donna, the owner there. And so we just kind of came up with the Big Iron Boys.
We did a fundraising concert there. When was that, Paul?
That was right at the end of June.
Yeah. And tell our viewers about our lovely friend Donna and the Corner Bar.
Oh my gosh.
If they haven't discovered
Donna is
it.
awesome.
Yeah, she's just cool.
Yeah,
she's just a cool person, and she's not like
she's
ambitious
the owner of the bar,
and
she's also a great music promoter and a friend to musicians. Period.
Loves music and knows how to promote it, knows how to make it fun and laid back, but also
successful.
She donated her lawn space for the concert that was held in tribute to River. And, a couple hundred people attended, but talk about who performed, including Jenny. It was very special.
It was real special.
Yeah, that was, man, that turned out really great. So we had the Big Iron Boys as the backup band, and we added Tim Wright, who is just awesome. Incredible. Guy can play guitar, pedal steel. Yeah. He can sing like a bird too. So it was
for those who don't know who he is. Talk about his.
He did very well with his band, the Wright Brothers, for decades.
Yeah,
and
primarily country.
Yeah,
primarily country.
I would say
it's kind of like seeing the Oak Ridge Boys in a way.
Yeah,
They
had some good
blending
success.
harmonies.
They went national,
amazing.
Did they not?
Yeah, they were nationally.
I think people did some of their songs too. I think they were just tight. Yeah.
And Tim is he the only one still alive, or
I don't know.
No, I believe there are. I don't know. I know.
We played with the Wright brothers, or two of the Wright brothers, at the Palladium for the symphony in Carmel, probably 3 years ago.
Okay, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was, I don't know, but they're good.
And then I had Randy Melson on bass, Randy Melson played with Sandy Patty for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's a well-known performer and studio musician around. And my buddy Kevin Couts, who's been one of my partners in crime on drums. And then we had Rebecca Meldrum sing some songs, and Jenny, of course, and we had Amelia Ray, who's new to my world through you, who I met through you and River, had talked about her, and she was fabulous.
Former Disney star and currently a student
all of us are.
At Belmont.
Just kidding.
Student at Belmont University.
Yeah.
I have to give her a shout out, or Chauncey. I'll hear from Chauncey, her mother and her mom manager. But in any case, it was magical.
They were all awesome. I loved meeting them, and she was great, and her twin brother hung around us for a little
she
bit. He was awesome.
Just in heaven meeting you and performing with you, Jenny. You don't know. Her mother is a huge fan of yours.
She told me that.
She grew up hearing you.
Yeah.
And to be on the same stage with you, for her, it really was a big deal.
And I want to say I want to give a plug to Amelia and just her demeanor at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
She was very mature.
Yeah,
I just want to say she's pro. Yeah, she's poised. She's mature. She's aware. And she's just kind of a grown up. It's so nice to be around.
No ego.
Yeah, no ego. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's very gracious.
Mm-hmm.
And all three girls got along. I mean, they just took to each other. And it made my job as kind of the producer.
You were the producer.
Trying to put it all together, make sure that, I had all the right songs and the right keys for everything, just so that we could try to make it somewhat seamless. And, once I sang a few songs, then we can get the gals up singing together on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they just worked so well and got along together, man.
Well, for me, this meeting you and meeting Jenny and all the people in the band, and, this is, I cover the performing arts. So primarily it's music, theater, and dance. Entertainment it's a broad universe.
Yeah.
So I have to keep my interests like sort of narrow. I can't cover everything. But you guys have kind of really introduced me to the music community, and it's vast. And it's very, I think it's the best kept secret, really. And it's just a matter of time because indie's going to become known for its music scene. You may disagree with that, but I think the general public doesn't.
No, I like that. I think that they should be. I think we have so much talent here. And I think keeping original music alive is probably the hardest thing that we want to pound into venue owners' heads. It's great to have a cover band and have that at your place, but if you don't support local songwriters and people doing original stuff, it won't stay here.
And we need
It'll
more
go
Donnas.
away.
But
We need more Donnas. Donna said to me when we were getting ready to do our set, she's like, "Will you do Butterfly?" I didn't know Donna knew anything that we did, and that's a song Paul and I wrote. Great. Yeah, and it's like people want it, and they need to know that they can ask us to come be there.
Yeah.
So
well, let's give our listeners another taste of your talents again. So let's listen to another piece and tell me about it.
This one's called Healer, and I took Paul to England with me, and we worked hard. We didn't know what we were getting into when we were there, and we did this one in 2 takes, and I think we both agree that it's nice to capture a performance as opposed to beating up a performance. So we left ourselves a lot of looseness. I knew what the groove was at the beginning, but I didn't know Paul's, the chord master. So I remember kind of playing him this rhythm when we were writing it. And so I don't think we did it a lot before we went to England to do it, which I like. I like having everybody kind of on edge because then everybody's very present when they record, and I wanted to capture. And this was just something that we did. And it's a lot of times after you record a song, it will evolve after the record's out for a while. And you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that. This one has stayed the same.
What's the subject matter?
It's just love. It's just somebody needing healing from maybe a bad relationship. And it kind of tells its own story.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a listen.
Well, I threw my back out, trying to please you, try hard to figure out what your needs were. But I'm left with one question I think you can try to see. After all I've done for you, what the hell you done for me? And I need a healer. Let me know if you can lift me up or take me home. I think you know that need a healer. I need a healer to take me home. I need a healer, just need a healer. I need a healer. Then I threw my heart out, trying to love you. Try hard not to put no one above you. But I'm left with one question I think you can try to see. 'Cause baby, you got me down on my knees. And I need a healer to let me know if you can leave me up or take me home. I think you know that I need a healer, just need a healer. I need a healer to take me home. I need a healer, just need a healer. I need a healer. Need a healer, just need a healer. I need a healer to take me home. I need a healer, just need a healer. I need a healer.
You spoke of this of England. What took you to England? I'm curious.
Well, I had worked with great producers here in the States. Richmore Purgo produced my first 2 records with me and taught me how to produce as we went along. And I loved that. Took us a very long time to do because we were both putting our all into it. I had a bunch of different players, my band, Paul, just different things for those 2 records. Then I read a Rolling Stone article about a record that Tracy Chapman had done called Let It Rain. And I love Tracy Chapman, and I loved the album Let It Rain. And I found out the producer was a man named John Parrish, who was more well-known in a more alternative music scene, like by the Eels, Sparkle Horse, PJ Harvey, biggest European artist on Universal Records in across the pond. And so I just thought I'd write him a note and see if he wanted to produce my next record. I had put out a live one after those first 2, and I didn't know what I'd hear. And I heard from his manager, who was also a real kind of a tough guy, soccer guy. And he called me and he said, send some stuff. So I sent some stuff. Then he said, no, send some stuff with just you and another instrument in the living room. So we did a bunch of demos with either myself and Brett, who plays in my band all the time, or Paul and I. And really, I just took those 2 guys and we built this record with John Parrish. His manager called and said, John's going to call you. And John called and he said, I like what you're doing. And it's different. And his main thing was, if I heard your voice someplace, I'd know it was you, which is a big deal. So he was primarily saying, you don't sound like a copycat person. I think I can add something. He's a multi-instrumentalist, a drummer, guitar player, but he can hear things. And we both, Paul and I, fell in love with him. I mean, very calm demeanor. And we built this record in Bath, England. And if you're going to England, and Bath, England is the first place you ever go, it's very Dickensian. It's ideal. I just thought all of England was this, picturesque and beautiful. And it's not. We've been back a few times since. But man, he was fantastic to work with and really made me write down what my vision for the record was. We weren't copying anybody. I wrote down sounds I liked from different records, stuff that he had done, stuff that I remember really tapping into some sounds that were going on with, I don't know if it was the first or the second record, but Kicking Up Sand with Alison Krauss and Robert Plant had done had redone an old song called Rich Woman, I think. And so we all kind of loved the kind of T-Bone Burnett, kind of this kind of sound. And it's my favorite record still. I named the record Fireworks and Karate Supplies. And
Where can I hear it? Where is it available?
JennieDeVoe.com,
Okay.
JennieDeVoe, and then last name DeVoe, DeVoe.
Yeah, plug
It's on
away.
iTunes. It's on iTunes. It's out there. I don't have everything on Spotify, but it was a joy to make that record. It was hard and it was unique. It's still my favorite record.
Now, Paul, you've done a bit of recording with all of the groups that you're involved with, or artists that you perform with. Where's your music available? And are you both? Do you both have YouTube channels?
I don't know if I have a channel. I know there's a ton of YouTubes out there.
I'm kind of hard to find, to be honest with you.
Elusive.
It's just like I'm not real motivated to put stuff on Spotify. Personally, I'm not against it. I'm just not motivated to make a couple of pennies here and there. But as far as like the Wombly's Rock Orchestra, we have a CD that's an album that's available online, and I believe that is on Spotify. And then Tad Robinson's new release, I played on, I think, 4 or 5 songs on that, and contributed to that. I'm very proud of that work. And he hasn't released it yet, but it's on the Delmark label, and that would be probably available through his website, tadrobinson.com, and also probably his record label, Delmark. Let's see, Rebecca and I released 2 albums, 1 live album and a studio album that is on the now defunct Slippery Noodle label. And I reckon she's on Spotify. I don't know.
I finally had the pleasure of
myself.
seeing you perform with Rebecca. First time I heard her, and I only heard her sing a couple of bars at River's Celebration of Life, and I think she sang "I'm Flying on a Jet Plane." Is that the name of the title?
We didn't do that at the fundraiser, but she has done that.
No, I mean at the Celebration of Life. I heard her sing just a couple of bars.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's all it took for me to
That
hear
is
that
correct.
voice.
I do remember her
And I
singing
said,
that
oh my
there.
gosh, she is an original.
Yeah.
I've never heard a voice like that.
Yeah, I had her sing on my gospel album, which is, I believe it's on iTunes still. You can find it on iTunes, but I had put out a gospel album.
And to hear you and Rebecca together, I mean, it brought chills down my spine.
They work really well together. And we've had Jennie come and sit in and with us from time to time. And boy, you should hear them do It's a Man's World.
And Amelia couldn't
Knock it
believe
out,
that
boy.
she had backup singers like the two of you.
She was enjoying that. She was like,
she didn't expect that you would do that for her.
I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, I think for, girls want to meet other girls, women want to meet other women. We like each other. We want to work together. And I think it's just an old suspicion that perhaps, women will get in some sort of thing. And it's like, no, I mean, if you're a cool person, but we can get in disagreements just like anybody, but it's not a woman thing. It's especially if it's art coming together, it's like we work it out. I mean, we're all, that's why I was saying working with Amelia, somebody so young, sometimes young people have to earn that way to getting along. She was a pleasure to be around.
Well,
she was a pleasure to sing behind.
I can tell you that I just really interested and intrigued about your interactions. And
we were enjoying
you two were
supporting
very,
her.
very generous with her.
Thank
and
you.
I know she appreciated it.
Well, thank
and I
you.
think it was a bit intimidating for her walking into that room.
You could tell, yeah. And I think making people who feel intimidated feel welcome is what we're all supposed to do.
Well, that's why you're helping me as I get to know you all, and as I continue to go to more concerts and events. It's taken me in a whole another direction as a reviewer, as a writer, to write about popular music and all these different genres that I've always loved and familiar with, but. I'm going this will air after the fact, Paul, but I cannot wait to see the Wombleys and hear you guys perform, because of all the music you do is soundtrack of my youth, if you will. Talk about the Wombleys.
Me and Phil Purley and I started that. He's the singer and a fabulous guitar player, also a great songwriter too. And I think it was around 1999. I was playing at a place called the Willard in Franklin.
Oh my gosh, they're still happening, I think.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they have music still, but
I think it's the art place
it's
next
right next
door.
to the
the Art
Craft Theater.
Yeah.
And so we were
the home of the Franklin College.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah, Franklin College.
And
Yeah,
Willard had great pizza.
So-
Sorry,
no, that's all right. That's all right. I'm trying. I got to keep a train of thought before I go somewhere else with it. So I think it was 99. And anyway, I was playing with Gordon Bonham there, and I don't know what compelled me, really, to be honest with you. Things happen. I do in things sometimes where I feel like it's just meant to happen, And so I wasn't even really. It crossed my mind while I was doing the gig, not because I was distracted. I was enjoying my gig with Gordon, of course, having a great time. I saw Phil there. He was there that night and just hanging out for whatever reason. And I thought to myself, he's cool, man. That guy can sing just about anything, like I'd heard him play. It's sang a lot of acoustic, a few acoustic shows. And then I was familiar with him from our early rock days I was in different rock bands and he was in different, kind of hair bands, we called them. And so I just approached him that night after the gig and said, "Hey man, you want to try to do some shows, just a duo stuff?" He said, "Yeah." There was no talk about it. And then next thing you know, we're doing a couple of shows at the Willard, just me and him. And then it was like, "Hey man, you want to like try to get a bass player and a drummer or put a band together?" Sure. So then we started conceiving, we didn't know what we wanted to do, but what happened was we had a few different people playing with us and just coming out to jam, basically, just winging it. And then one day he said, we should try to get Brant Milholland, the bass player, because the guy can sing anything. And we harmonize well together. With your voice, we could probably do some 3-part harmony stuff. That would be cool. I said, well, cool. Get him, We got him. I had played with Jamie Reed, the drummer, for a little stint with Carrie Newcomer. And also Jenny had used Jamie.
Yeah, I love Jamie. Yeah. I love Jamie.
And so I thought to myself, Jamie is a creative drummer. He's not only just a fantastic drummer with an excellent technique and feel, he has a creativity about him. And so I was sensing that because of Phil's creativity and my, wanting to get more into songwriting and stuff like that with those guys, Jamie would be a good addition. We got Jamie, and then we were just a 4-piece for several years. Dan McMichael, the owner of the Rathskeller, approached us one night after a gig and said, "I saw a symphony Zeppelin show, so it was basically like a rock band playing."
With strings,
playing an all Zeppelin tribute type thing. This was years ago. And he goes, "I think you guys could pull this off." And I just see it happening, and we were kind of resistant to it, but we played along and we had Kathy Morris initially, play with us. And that was wonderful. It was a real wonderful experience. Just kind of building that project and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And now the lineup we have now is incredibly talented musicians. We all have a great rapport. And we have a couple of original songs that we inject into the mix, but I've had
one of our songs. You covered one of
we wrote.
Yeah,
that we wrote on one of our albums, so.
Well, I'm sure it will be right up my alley based on, what you've told me about it. And who are some of the artists that you guys cover, just briefly, and then we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah, we cover ELO and Pink Floyd and Zeppelin, some of the, rock, hard rock stuff or the rock and roll classic rock, but we also do some Motown, like we do some Chai Lights and some Four Tops.
Yeah.
And stuff where we can, like we do Lou Rawls, so stuff where we can all express our vocal ability.
And people get up and dance?
People love it. They rock out, and then we go from rocking out to getting
Pink Floyd.
bringing the soul, to you, and the people get up and dance and have a great time.
I can't wait. Well, listen, it's been so great having the two of you. I have such respect for you and your talents and just the people you are. Jenny, your banter or patter on stage, if you will, I just love your authenticity.
Thank you.
I'm accused of it, and most artists that I know that I'm close to, you're not afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
And,
I think that's the key. I think that you pinpointed that.
And I think that's what your audience really loves about you, besides just your talent, is your willingness to be who you are on stage. You're the same off stage as you are on stage. At least that's my impression.
I think that's true.
So
I try.
It's a privilege to have you both on.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for having us. And it's been wonderful getting to know you.
Oh, well, it's really my pleasure. And Paul, I can't wait to continue working on the project with you. And for those of you who want to know more about it, this is a not-for-profit entity, and we just have a new title. The working title has been changed. It is now Unfinished Business, The Saga of River James.
Nice.
You heard it right here. And if you'd like to lend your support financially, takes a lot of money to make the film that we want to do. So write me at riverjamesdoc@gmail.com. And before we leave, you're going to close out with one more piece. So what is it that we're going to hear?
I think I Break Down. This is one that I just love how Paul plays. And this is one we wrote together. And this was one of those kind of magical ones where I sat on my bed and came up with this melody, played it for Paul. He kind of goes, okay. And then it's done. And that is how it was. And that is how it still is. And I love it.
Again, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having us, Tom.
Thank you.
Since you went and left me, baby, I can't seem to clear my mind. I wake up and I reach for you, boy, there ain't nothing that I find. And I know you say we're over. Yes, I know you said we're through, but I thought that you should know, oh, what happens every time I think of you. Oh, break down. Oh, breaking down, yeah. Oh, I'll break down. Yes, just because you are gone. Oh, so walk away, but don't forget the sacrifice that this woman's made. You're gonna find that ain't no love strong. Oh, no, than the one that you gave away. No, don't turn around, 'cause I won't be here. I'll be gone alone with my pride. You're my heart, it may be broken, but that don't mean I'm gonna die just because I'm break down, yeah. Oh, I'm breaking down, yeah, I do. Oh, I'll break down, yeah, just because you're gone. Oh, I'll break down. Oh, I'm breaking down, yeah. Whoa, I'll break down. Yes, just because hey, hey. Yeah. Oh, hey, hey. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I know you said we're over. Yes, I know you said we're through. But the thought that you should know, oh, what happens every time I think of you. The thought that you should know, every time that you go, oh, I'll break down. The thought that you should know, every time that you go, oh, I'll break down.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.